Good morning, learners. I am Dr. Subodh Kesharwani, working with School of Management Studies, Indira Gandhi National Open University. The topic which I am going to talk today is emerging opportunities in business. In today's competitive world, when life is so complex and complicated, only way of success is regular upgradation and hard work. There is no doubt success stories of people and business who have collaborated and do wonders in this era of business. So opportunity is something which is going to play a very important role. What we have observed that opportunity is something which can take a shape of ideas, which can take a shape of a concept, which can take a shape of an out-of-box approach. So this is the topic which is very burgeoning in nature. That is, there are certain opportunities which are working as a boon for the organization, working for a boon for the business, working for a boon for the companies and for the trade and commerce. So this course is basically BCOC 132. This is part of our BCom CBCS course. We are moving from conventional BCom to a choice-based credit system, and you will find out that the course is quite burgeoning in nature, and it is helping learners to make their own entities, develop their own platforms, develop their own companies and business. So when you go more into the depth of the opportunity varies from circumstances to circumstances. Sometimes opportunity take a shape of ideas, and sometimes the opportunity take a shape of a concept. So how you're going to apply, how you're going to grab the opportunity, that is something which is going to play a very important role in the business and in the coming scenario. So out-of-box approach is something which is changing with the change in time, and the companies who have not changed themselves, who have not update themselves, they become redundant. They are out from the market. They are out from the picture. So there was a time when shelf life of a company was 50 years or 60 years. Right now, the philosophy had changed. Technology had bring a paradigm shift in this thing, and we have seen that a lot of other things are going to play a very important role. And the definition of technology is also changing with the change of time. There was a time when technology was just merely a computers or other things. But if you talk in the present scenario, the technology is something which is more one step ahead to that. It is right now a blockchain. It is artificial intelligence, or the pandemic stage is going on, and we have observed that during this lockdown period, people are not in a position to move from one place to another. It does not mean that business is not going. But when we talk about the business is basically a philosophy which is perpetual in nature. So and always believe in going concern. So with the change of time, with the change of effort, with the change of trends, the business also changes. But there were some players who survive, who was there from the day one. But those who are not aligned with the consumers, not a good paymasters, they are out from this fray. So what we have observed that to be into a market, to be into a competition, you have to take care all the approach. You have to be holistic in nature, and you have to take into consideration many things, like taking care of your employee, providing a conducive environment so that they can perform well, and on the other hand, interacting with your consumers on a regular basis. If you are not interacting with your consumers on a routine basis, what will happen? The customer will switch over from your brand, and it will go to other brands. So what I was talking about, that in the present scenario things have been changed, and we have moved from push approach to pull approach. So when you talk about the push approach is more supply centric, whereas when you talk about the pull approach is more customer centric. So when you are customer centric, you are making things in such a manner that end of the day consumers are going to be benefited. So if the consumers are going to be benefited, their mouth marketing is going to add a feather in a cap. So this is the thing which is going on, and what we have observed that there are many things which are changing. So the companies who have changed themselves with the change of time, they are in the picture, and those who are not able to change themselves, they are away from the scenario. So we have observed that they were the good brands which were dominating the market. Like take example of a Nokia or Kodak. But what happened right now that they are evaporated. So it is just because that they are not taking care about their consumers, and they are not favoring the need of the hours. So need of the hour is what, that you have to change yourself, you have to change every time. So the trend is going on changing. So it's not like that. Sometimes those who are able to adapt the change, they are in the picture. Those who are not able to adapt the change, they are out from the picture. So when you talk about the business, no doubt this consumer role is quite important, and how you are going to interact with your consumers, what latest technologies you are going to imbibe, that is going to matter. But on the other hand, you have to take care about your consumers on a routine basis, on a regular basis. We have observed that the consumers are very frequent in nature. They move from one place to another very fast. So if you are not going to cater your customers in a systematic manner, there are chances that they can switch over. And on the other hand, we have to see the scenario also, what the scenario is. Sometimes what happens, we are good in technologies, we are good in interacting the consumers, but we are not able to adapt the new technologies. So new technology is nothing but changing the face of the business right now. And what we have observed that if you are changing yourself, and if you are taking the help of the technology, and which can bridge the gap between the consumers and the vendors, so very easily the things can able to go on. So we will talk about many aspects. We will talk about all the contemporary thoughts, that how what are the certain opportunities which the entrepreneur, the startups, startup is basically a new venture established by the individual persons. Rather, they are the innovators, they are the creators. And when you talk about the capital, they have the scarcity of the capital, but in the backdrop, they have a vision in their mind. So with the help of new thoughts, with the help of vision, they try to bring the new know-hows, and the venture capitalists, the angel investors, or we can say the person who are funding this particular startups, they can take the stakes, and from there the companies come up. We have seen that in the past that a lot of startups had come up. If you talk about the big brands like Amazon, which is right now at the #1 slot, started as a startups, and taken some big amount from the ventures, from the venture capitalists, and then the company come up. So the Amazon, which has started the business in US by selling the old books, then converted into books, then bring their own gadgets called Kindle, and finally what had happened, you see that right now it's one of the biggest e-commerce company in the world. So this is how the company had changed themselves. And there are some good examples. We have examples of Google, we have examples of Microsoft, how these companies have started from a small garage, or from the small rooms in universities, and how the companies have grown themselves. So this is something which is going to play a very important role, and we have to see that how the trend is going to be changed. If people can adapt the change, it's fine. If they are not going to adapt the change, they will be out from the fray. So if you talk about the presentation, today's presentation, what we are going to talk about, that how do opportunities play an important role in enhancing business. Because when you talk about the opportunities, sometimes the business man is doing a stereotype approach, following a stereotype approach and doing a business. But what had happened, that the new opportunities come. Sometimes they have to migrate from their jurisdiction to the different part of the world. Like cross-border business they have to do, and they are not grabbing that opportunity. So ultimately what happened, that their business narrow down to that particular jurisdictions, and they are not able to expand their business. So this is a thing which is there, and there are certain trends which are changing with the change in business. We have seen that there was a time when business was purely a brick and mortar business, where we have got stereotype distribution channels, either from the wholesalers, from the manufacturers to wholesalers, then retailers, and then finally the consumers. But right now, with the help of e-commerce, what had happened, that people are buying the goods or selling the goods through online platforms. So this is a change which the companies is going to adapt. If the companies are not going to adapt this, ultimately what will happen? They are not going to exist themselves in the present market. So if they want to exist in the present scenario, they have to adapt the change. Now the question is that what exactly when you are bringing change in the business, ultimately what had happened, it's not everybody cup of tea to always go for the change. If you are not following a gradual process of bringing a change, what will happen? That you will be in a very turmoil stage. So that need to be taken care, that how we are going to adapt the change, and this change could be a routine process, it could be a gradual process, and we can adapt the change or implement the change in a very systematic manner. Because when you are going for purely implementation of technology in one go or in one shot, what is happening, that your whole legacy system, your whole conventional way of doing the things is going to become haphazard. So if that thing become haphazard, the people who are working in the organizations, they feel unsafe. They are not secure about their jobs. So so changing the mindset is something which is going to play a very important role. So if you are not going to change the mindset of the individual or your counterpart or your employee, ultimately things are going to be changed. So what we have to do, we have to bring a lot of things into consideration. So this paradigm shift from website to application-based business is going on. We have seen that there was a time when business was purely in a brick and mortar mode, and we follow a stereotype approach. Then what had happened, that we have moved from this stereotype to website-based business, where with the help of websites or with the help of statistics, approaches, we have done a business. But right now the business is purely application based. What we can use the terminology in the present scenario is the app based. So this app based is nothing but a real time approach. So where consumers are buying the goods as per their own pace and style. So when they are free, they can buy the things. When they are in office, they can do the shopping. So it's not like that you have earmarked certain time for certain things. So when you are in your office, you can do the shopping. When you are traveling, you can buy some things. So the habits are also going to be changed, and we have seen that food habits, the eating habits has also been changed. It's not merely because of lockdown, but because of other aspects, the things had been changed. So rather than moving to the brick and mortar restaurants, people are ordering the foods, and the foods are delivered by this food apps. It could be either Swiggy or Zomato or Food Panda. So what exactly the things are going to be there, that the habits are going to be changed. People know that when they are going for particular things, it's require time, it's require a cost. So travel time is also there, and you see the culture of the metropolitan cities or the big cities where traffic is creating a hue and cry situation. So how the things are going to be changed. And so when you are talking about emerging opportunities in business, when you talk about the contemporary trends, the guru mantra behind is that you have to change the mindset of the individual. You have to change the mindset of the company. You have to change the mindset of both the things, like the buyer, seller, or the person who are at the end point, or person who are at the finish point. So impact of use of plastic money and e-wallets are coming up in a big manner. We have seen that there was a time when people usually go to bank and devote certain hours to update their accounts balance in the banks, or to withdraw money they have to devote certain time, say 1 hour or 2 hours. Right now, with the help of net banking, you are able to know what's your how much transaction you have done in a day, or so there's no need of going to the bank. So from there the culture had been changed, and we have seen that the plastic money philosophy had come up. Rather than taking a money in our wallets, we have used the plastic money. So but right now the model of plastic money is also going to be eradicated, and we have come up with a new philosophy called e-wallets. So either it could be and all the big companies are having their own wallets. If you talk about Amazon, they have Amazon Pay. If you talk about Paytm, they have their own wallets, and some of the companies who are not having the wallets, like the travel industries, when we go for booking a taxi, we use the Paytm wallet. So these wallets are not confined to the particular company organizations, but helping us where or when we are able to get a requirement of it. So what we are mean to say that this philosophy is going to be changed. And right now what happened, we have seen that we are more frequently using the WhatsApp. The WhatsApp is also planning to come up their own wallets. So what is the use of this wallet? When you talk about the wallet is a we can see it's one step ahead to that, where the certain amount is on your particular app, and you can transfer the payment from that. So sometimes you can link your credit card, and some of the wallets are giving some credit also. So you can have a credit of 1 lakh, up to 1 lakh rupees. So once you use that, you can and if your credit ratings are good, they can give you more credits. So this is the way by which, when you don't have a money but still you are having a wallet with you. So it is helping you at every juncture, at every places. So examine the digital business collision with marketplace trends. We have seen that digitization is right now applying in all the aspects, and the company who are not talking about, who are not using this technology, ultimately what is going on, they either out from the picture or collaborate with these players. Recently we have seen that there were some good alliances in the future, or in the present, or in the current scenario. We have seen that there is one player called Jio. Jio is basically more into mobiles, calling and data retrieving things. Right now they have collaborated with Facebook, and Facebook had invested somewhere around taken 10% stake of this company and invested somewhere around 53,000 crores. So what is the intention behind that? We know that Facebook is a social networking site, and they have got a huge number of footfall, and their users are gigantic in nature, and they know the taste about their users. So right now when you talk about the data is not merely a conventional data. The data philosophy is changing. If we talk in the present scenario, in the 2020, data is not that you talk about name, email or mobile. It is something which is over and above to that. It can, if you talk about the data can give you information about that what is the taste of the consumers, when exactly the consumers go for online shopping, when exactly he goes for window dressing, when exactly he go for real-time buying. So this data is basically a real-time data, where what kind of interest he or she have, whether he's a frequent traveler, or he travels merrily, so these kind of things which is there, which gives us a glimpse about that what exactly the data is. And this data is quite precious in nature, and when you know about the taste of the consumers, you can make the product, you can reframe the product, you can make the tailor-made product which is exclusively designed for the individual. So that is something that is going to play a very important role. So where we are knowing what exactly the consumer is, and when exactly the consumer is coming for buying, that is more important. What we have observed that, and this data can also provide us information that this is the travel time of the individual, and at this time he or she is in the office, or basically, and this is the time when he or she is going for the window dressing, and this is time when exactly he or she is going to buy a product. So when you know that, and it can also provide us at what time the individuals can go for the particular URL or the particular website. So during that time you can put some buzz to them, you can provide them certain informations, or some link can come up which can navigate them that why not you can try for this particular URL and buy your product from there. So taste of the consumers is knowing by the company now, and only thing is that how to hit the consumers so that they can buy the product and they can buy the particular product. So sometimes what happens, and So this is the trend which is going on, and we will see how the things are going to be changed. So prior to talking more about this, there are certain, I will talk on what exactly the business scenario is right now, and we have seen that the business scenario is changing with the change in time, and a lot of trend is coming up. The first generation entrepreneurs who have never existed right now are coming up with certain startups, and these startups are backed by the business tycoons, like some of the the initiators who have done a good job in as a businessman in India, like Narayan Murthy from Infosys, or we can say Ratan Tata from Tata Groups. They have massively invested on these startups, and the intention is that once they pump the money to these companies, they take a stake in that company, either 10%, 20%. We have seen that Flipkart is one of the company which was started by two Bansal friends who were working in IIT, and from there the company had been started, and a lot of venture capitalists who had funded these companies. So if you see the company, the venture capitalists, the Tiger Global, who had funded Amazon long back, maybe 10 years, 20 years back, this company had massively invested in Flipkart in the beginning stages. So from there the company followed the same modus operandi what the Amazon was doing, that started with a book business in India, and gradually selling all things, like from fast moving consumer goods to white goods to electronic goods and other goods. So what we have observed, that the scenario of business had been changed, and if you are not going to tie up with these companies, take example of a Google. Google is now bringing up they have got their own wallets, and in the coming years they are planning to do many things. The company who have got a good number of footfalls, they are tying up with the stereotype players in the business and come up with the different approaches. The good example is that how the Facebook had invested in Jio, and now what the Jio is going to do. We know that Indian retail industry is purely, we can say it's somewhat organized, somewhat unorganized. But if you more go into the depth of it, you will find out that still 40 to 60% is unorganized, where Parchun wala is nearby your home or nearby your mohalla, and they are there, and from there we buy a product. So what this Jio is going to do? Jio, with the help of Facebook, because everybody is now equipped with the social networking sites, so they are going to follow a blended approach. It could be, rather you can say, it's not a brick and mortar approach, but they will follow a different way of doing the things. So these Parchun wala will have a stock of certain commodities, and you have a order. You can order through Jio, and the packet will be delivered by this Parchun wala who are near your homes. So the model is quite clear, that you will go for online buying and selling, but the product will be delivered either from these stores, or you can go and pick up from their store. So the intention is very clear, that they are going to use the existing stuffs what the Indian market have, and then they are going to do all those things. So this is the thing which is going on, and a lot of other trend is going to be changed. We have seen that there was a time when shelf life of the company was 60 years, but right now it's narrowed down to 20 or 30 years, and in the coming years you will find out it will be more reduced to 4 years or 5 years. So those who are not going to perform, they will be redundant, they will be out from the pictures. And organizations, the survival or credibility, not rely on the technology they are using, but how they are going to interact with the consumers and how they are going to take care about their employees. That is more important, because they are the backbone of the company. If you are not going to take care about your employees, ultimately what will happen, the whole thing becomes haphazard. Today's scenario is more like integrated kind of, where you have to see the every clients who are there. If one of the chain is breaked, ultimately what will happen, you are not in a position to streamline the whole process. So when you are not going to streamline, there will be a cutoff in the communications, and when the cutoff in the communications, that particular things is not going to work. So a lot of things are going to be there, and we have seen that in this lockdown period, which is of 75 to 80 days, that that IT industry market had come up. It's the only industry where we have observed that they have not have a downfall, and they are very perpetual in their works, and things were going on, and they follow the different approaches, like work from home culture is coming up, where we have seen that we have moved from automation to office automation. Now WFH model is coming up, and all these big companies, either talk about Facebook or Google, they have clearly mentioned that they are going to provide certain gadgets to the employees and fund them, and they purely believes in work from home model till 1 year, or till this pandemic can go on. So this is the change which is coming up, and they are checking the efficiency of the employee. They filter down, and then they find out who are working well. So a lot of things are going to be changed, and you will see that in the coming years more change is going to come up. And it's not like that the startups are going to be changed or the new company is going to be changed. The old companies also intermingle with the new companies, and a lot of change is also coming up. So entrepreneurs like Bill Gates, we have seen that they have changed. So right now, if you see their products, either talk about the Windows, it's equipped with the variety of things. Like it's equipped with the meetings also. So there's no need to buy a separate meeting. And they have invested in large number of stereotype companies. And on the other hand, we have seen that Elon Musk, who is a founder of Tesla, that he is not into the chauffeurless car business, but or the electric cars, but now sending rockets to the Mars, to the universe. So that is the change which is coming up. So what we have observed, that all these techno-savvy companies are shaking hands with all the big players, and they just want to know that what the trend is going on, so that they can invest more amount into it. Jack Ma is a founder of Alibaba, and we have seen that he is right now taken a leave from the company, and the intention is very clear. He is no more, but he is right now a mentor of the company. So when you talk about the startup, when you talk about the business, you have to see that mentors' roles are quite important. Narayan Murthy, who was the founder of Infosys, when he had formulated this company with 7 individuals, Nandan Nilekani was one of them. At that time, the Y2K issue was very burgeoning in nature in US, and 97-98 this company had done a huge business. So if you go into the backdrop, you will find out that Narayan Murthy, when they have started this business, Infosys, and they were doing this business, they know that this Y2K issue is going to be collapsed at a certain time, because Y2K issue was nothing but a year 2000 problem. So when we are going to put the dates, it is DD, MM, and 4 Ys are there. So rather than putting the 4 Ys in the beginning stages, all these codings in the software was confined to the 2 Ys. So they have done everything. They have revamped the whole process and reduced this challenge of Y2K issues. But Narayan Murthy was very clear in his mind that once this Y2K issue will over, this company would be on the deathbeds, because once the issue over, there is no job for it. So from the day one they have thought of, and those people who were working in Y2K issue, they were all the big man at that time, and the company revenue was like that 80% business was coming from Y2K issue related issues, and 20% was coming from other approaches. So they have this guy had the founder of Infosys had done a very intelligent thing. He had taken a lot of those people who were working in the Y2K issues. They were the experts, they were the wizards. So he had taken all of them and retained only 10% into it. So these 10%, with that 10%, he had put another 4,000, 5,000 people, young chap forces. So now what happened, that Y2K issue was handled by these young 4,000, 5,000 people, and remaining 90% which he had taken, he had engaged them in a new project. and that new project was nothing but development of the new softwares and bringing some new products like Finacle. You know, Finacle is a very good product which is used for the banking industries, and they had tied up with all the big companies, and like SAP, they become the aggregators of all these companies and launch their own ERP softwares. So when you talk about the ERP softwares are the integrated softwares. So the purpose was very clear that they make the softwares and they sell it to the companies not confined to India but other part of the world. And right now you see their business crossed and multiply, and gradually they have generated a huge amount. So this is a model, this is the procedure which the companies are following, and the change which is there, it's not like that the company is doing well, but you have a shelf life that up to certain time this company will do well, because new players are doing a lot of R&D, lot of research and development, and no doubt they will come up with a very thought-provoking approaches. So if you are not going to change yourself, you will be out. So Jeff Bezos, what we have observed, that is one of the founders of Amazon, and he also had come up with a very different approaches. And what he had observed, that Amazon business was not confined to e-commerce, and if we just concentrate on this e-commerce business, we will be away from the picture. So what he had done, he had developed their own servers related things. So AWS is one of the product which is owned by Jeff Bezos, and AWS is nothing but Amazon Web Services. So they are into the cloud computing, they are into the technology selling things. So it's not like that e-commerce is a company which is confined to Amazon is a company which is confined to e-commerce only. Amazon, Jeff Bezos is into many business, and Prime Video is one of the ingredients of that. What we have seen, that we surprised almost a decade back that how without set-top box we can able to see the movies. But right now the philosophy had been changed. The web series philosophy had come up. Either it could be delivered by YouTube or by Netflix or by Prime Video. So what we have seen, that this is one of the different verticals which this company have created. And Jeff Bezos is something. Jeff Bezos is one who tried to believe in doing something new. And so we have seen that how the things are going to be changed in coming years, and more things are going to become. It's just because that you are giving flexibility to your employees and provide them a leverage so that they can think out of box. They try to create new things which by and large would be benefited by a company. So there are certain facts and figures which is no doubt is going to play a very important role. And if we see that that there are 6 companies who are basically doing a good job in US, in India or in China. So their facts and figures are very important. Like we have talked about Amazon, we have talked about Google and Facebook, and in India also Flipkart is a company which was doing well by 2 Indians, and then later on they engaged the good venture capitalists, and finally what had happened, that Walmart had owned this company. So this is the change which is coming up, and there are certain facts and figures, because if you are not going for the facts and figures, you are not going to find out how the things are going to be changed. So this is basically I try to talk about the startups, because when you are not going to talk about the startups, because today's scenario is basically a scenario of the first generation entrepreneurs. It's not, there was a time when business was just was not everybody cup of tea, and those who having the business, the old dynasty businesses was going to play a very important role. And we have seen that when this startup philosophy had been started, then a lot of things had come up. The technocrats who were studying in the flagship institutions like in India, in IITs or in IIMs, or in US, when you talk about MIT, when you talk about Harvard, Wharton. So where we have observed that these startups had been created by the first generation entrepreneurs. They were the students, they do a lot of research, and when they study a lot of literature, they come to certain gaps, and from that gaps they come to know that these are the niche areas where business need to be focused and created. So they create the business. Now the biggest challenge was them was the who is going to fund, because when you talk about the setting up a business, you require a cost. So they make a DPR, they make a detailed project report, then they work on it, they make a prototype of it, then they interact with the venture capitalists. So there are some venture capitalists, as I have talked about, there were some venture capitalists who have funded Amazon, because Jeff Bezos was also not a big entrepreneur, but the vision was very clear. If you go into the backdrop of Amazon, it starts with A and to Z. So it means that anything which starts from A to Z is sold by Amazon. So that is the thing which is there. So venture capitalists' role is quite pivotal in nature, and they are the private equity investors, and they provide capitals. And finally, what happens when they give capital, they see the vision and then take the stake in the company. It's not like that every time they are in the win-win stage. What we have observed that sometimes what happen, but they are very stringent in nature. They do a lot of homework while investing in the company. But again, the grass is not always green. At the other side, we have seen that the business, there were some investors who have invested in this business are not get a happy returns, not get a good returns, because the reason behind is that after certain time, certain issue comes up, their planning fails, or the scenario is not permitting them to survive. So that is the reason sometimes they had a loss. And these venture capitalists sometimes have certain losses also. But this had happened with the startups also, because when startups started, everything is quite good in nature. But finally, what happened after certain time, out of that only 10% or 5% get the success and 95% fails. The reason is very clear that those who are not serious about the things, they can out, and there are certain unfavorable circumstances which come up, and sometimes what happens, the existing players make themselves more compatible, and finally they compete with these players and make this player out from the market. So this is the thing which is there. For that, what is going on, the business incubators had been established, and these incubators are privately and publicly created. Somewhere, it's a paid where when you work in the incubators, you get a lot of facilities, and you get a lot of privileges and these incubators are basically navigating these startups or their founders to work more in a more systematic manner. So this is the thing which is there, and these incubators are now established in the institutions also. Like when the students are pursuing their BTech first year or pursuing their masters, at that time it's part of their projects. So they can work on their projects and they can parallelly, do other things like that. So it's like they're part of the dissertation. Sometimes rather than involving in the semesters, they fully involved with this incubator cell. So these incubator cells are providing them business advice, resources, contacts, and capital also. So sometimes what we have observed that there were some institutions who have taken stake in these startups also. So the good startups have been started by the young founders, and we have seen that the institutions like MIT and Harvard, they have invested into it. So this is the thing which is going on. So, and moral of the story is that the faith is going to matter. When you have a holistic approach, when you have a teamwork approach, ultimately the things are going to be there. On the other hand, the crowdfunding philosophy and the practice had been also created, where rather than confined to take capital from one venture capitalist, you have taken money from the masses. What the Reliance Industries have done during the tenure of Dhirubhai Ambani, maybe 2-3 decades back. So this is the thing which is going on. So when you more talk about the smart business, so smart business is basically something which change with the change of time. As I have talked about, it is equipped with the machine learning, it is equipped with the artificial intelligence approach, and digital native approach is there. So what we have observed that algorithm is going to play a very important role, and we have seen that the science and mathematics and other approaches are going to be quite fruitful, and this digital native companies have an advantage of being born online and data ready. So what the companies are doing right now, like I have that the example which I have quoted, that Facebook is a social networking site, and they are gradually going up, but they know that the social networking can't go alone, because when the individual who are with the social networking portals for 2-3 hours, he want many things into it. So they are giving baskets of avenues into it. So it will be a shopping, there will be a shopping cart, there will be a information archives, there will be certain learning tools. So electronic learning is also going on, shopping is also going on, and you are interacting with your peers. So this digital native companies have the advantage of born online, and they are the one who are transforming this smart business. So we have seen that Amazon is a company which is more into e-commerce, started with the e-commerce, right now in cloud computing, in video streaming, in making web series, and right now they are, if you study more about these companies, their case studies, you will find out that these companies are buying the brick and mortar stores. Amazon is buying, Walmart have a big stake in the big bazaar, or these brick and mortar stores are now owned by these technology enabled companies, because they know that they know that their warehouse is not designed for just providing. So this is the philosophy which is changing, and on the other hand, a lot of other business is coming up. Even in e-governance, even the social causes, we have seen that this change is coming up, and technology is also playing a very important role. In India, we talk about midday meal. In India, we talk about other things. We see that Anganwadi, and we have seen that community kitchen philosophy is coming up. So this community kitchen is nothing but a mega kitchen has been created at one place, which is pure hygienic, and certain parameters which are going to be taken care, and from there they deliver the product. So what I mean to say that when you talk about the dynamic marketplace where customers are demanding more, and when you talk about what is the power of the consumer, the power of the consumer is digital integration. Okay. Okay, I'm just taking a pause for another 5 minutes due to technological issue, and we will again come back with that. Thank you. अच्छा